You know, when you grab a bottle of water, you're probably thinking it's the pure, clean choice, right? But what if I told you that the bottle itself, the very thing you trust to keep your water clean, is actually the problem? Today, we're taking a hard look at what's really lurking inside the water we drink every single day.
So, here's the big question we're going to try and answer. For years, we've been told that bottled is better, that it's cleaner than tap. But some new science and our own independent lab tests are telling a very, very different story.
All right, so here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we'll hit you with some pretty shocking test results. Then we're going to bust a major myth about bottled water, expose a little deception with those so-called safer cans, and then get into what this all means for our health. And finally, we'll look at how the government is finally stepping in. Okay, let's jump right into the evidence. To really figure this out, we sent 7 of the most popular brands of bottled water to a lab. We didn't just want to count plastic particles. We wanted to know what kind of plastic it was. And the results, well, they were pretty clear-cut. So take a look at this. This is the raw data from our lab. Basically, we used a special dye that makes plastic particles glow, and that fluorescence score just tells you how much it's glowing. So, higher number, more plastic. Now, look at Dasani in a regular plastic bottle. It scores a 143. But then, look right next to it. Liquid Death in an aluminum can scores a 141. They're practically identical. And as you can see, every single brand we tested lit up. So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway. 7 out of 7 brands were contaminated. No exceptions. And the plastic they found, it was PET. The exact same plastic that the bottles themselves are made of. The container is literally leaching into the water. And that just blows the lid off this whole idea of pure bottled water, doesn't it? For decades, we've been sold this story of pristine, untouched water that's way better than what's coming out of our faucets. So let's see how that myth holds up to reality. Okay, so just how much plastic are we talking about here? A massive study from Columbia University just came out, and get ready for this number. They found an average of 240,000 plastic fragments in a single liter of bottled water. That is 10, even 100 times more than we ever thought was in there. Now, here's the really scary part. About 90% of those particles were what you call nanoplastics. These things are unbelievably small. So small, in fact, that they can pass right through the walls of your gut or lungs and get directly into your bloodstream, into your cells, and yeah, even into your brain. And get this for irony. In that Columbia study, the most common plastic they found wasn't even from the bottle. It was nylon. And you know where it came from? The filters they use to purify the water at the bottling plant. The very process meant to make the water clean is actually adding plastic to it. So let's put it side by side, this supposedly pure bottled water versus plain old tap water. The numbers are just staggering. While tap water isn't perfect, bottled water can have literally thousands of times more plastic. The product we've been told is pure is measurably, demonstrably more contaminated. All right, so this brings us to the next logical step. A lot of us, trying to do the right thing, have switched to aluminum cans to avoid plastic. But as our own tests showed us, there's a little twist in that plan. I mean, this chart just says it all, doesn't it? We put Dasani in a plastic bottle, head-to-head with Liquid Death in an aluminum can. And the plastic levels were almost exactly the same, 143 versus 141. So what in the world is going on here? Well, here's the secret. Every single aluminum can you drink from has a super thin plastic liner on the inside. It's an epoxy made from PET to stop the drink from reacting with the metal. So your water never actually touches the aluminum. It's sitting against plastic the entire time. Our test was so good, it flagged the plastic as PET without even knowing it came from a can. It just saw the signature for water bottle plastic. Okay, so we're drinking all this plastic. The big question, the one that really matters now, is what is all this doing to our bodies? What does it mean for our health? And the science on this is just starting to come out, and frankly, it's pretty alarming. Well, scientists have started looking for these microplastics inside of us, and honestly, they're finding them everywhere. They're inside the plaque that clogs our arteries, they're in our blood, in our brain tissue, in the placenta of unborn babies, in breast milk, and deep down inside our lungs. It seems like nowhere is safe. This quote from Dr. Alicia Jackson, a top government health research director, just really hits home. She says we know the plastic is everywhere inside us and inside our kids.
The big race now is to figure out which types are dangerous and how on earth we can get them out.
And we're already getting some terrifying clues. A major 2024 study in the New England Journal of Medicine looked at people with microplastics inside their arteries. It found they had a, wait for it, 450% higher risk of having a heart attack, a stroke, or dying. Let me say that again, 450%. So, with evidence like this just piling up, you can see why this has finally reached a tipping point. This isn't just some fringe concern anymore. It's now officially being treated as a national problem.
Just recently, the EPA did something historic. For the first time ever, it officially labeled microplastics as a priority contaminant in our drinking water. Now, this starts a long process of public comments and reviews, but we gotta be realistic here. Actual rules and regulations could still be years, maybe even decades down the road.
But make no mistake, the message is clear. Here's what the EPA administrator had to say. For too long, Americans have vocalized concerns about plastics in their drinking water. That ends today. This is that first crucial step towards some real accountability.
And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling thought. So many of us turned away from tap water because we were worried about what might be in it. But after everything we've seen today, the hundreds of thousands of plastic bits, the contamination from the filtering itself, the whole aluminum can deception, you have to ask a really basic question. Should we ever have trusted the bottle in the first place?